Hi guys, it's Erin from Ginger's Florals. It is a couple days before New Year's Eve. You'll probably see this on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or maybe a day or two after. But I wanted to go through some of the lessons that I've learned from this last season, this 2024 growing season, and some of the changes that I plan to make for this coming year. Since we're still relatively young at this and we're only in our 5th year, we are still building up some of our infrastructure. So we didn't have a huge profits or anything this year, but we learned a lot of really valuable lessons that we plan to take into this 2025 season. And I thought that I would share them with you. Everybody's garden and everybody's farm is going to be a little bit different, and the things that I struggle with won't necessarily be what you struggle with. But if there's any nuggets of information in here that's helpful, I hope that you will take the time to subscribe, hit the thumbs up on this video. Okay, so the first lesson that we learned this year is, which we probably should have learned already by now, is that the strongest season for me is spring, specifically early spring, when all of the tulips and ranunculus and all of that early spring, like big focal flowers, are in full bloom. That's when the farmer's market is the busiest. That's when people are so hungry for flowers that we absolutely have our biggest weeks and our biggest profits, biggest sales weeks that we'll get all season long during that springtime. Everybody coming out of winter, especially, well, really anywhere that isn't warm all year long. When you're coming out of winter, if you're a flower person or a plant person or a garden person or most anybody really, that when all you see is this gray dreary for months on end, you're craving signs of growth in spring, and flowers from the farmer's market are a huge part of that for so many people. So we grow, like I said, we have the most interest from our customers in the spring, and the most people show up to the market, and it's just the best time of year. Like I said, especially when the ranunculus and the tulips are going full swing. Once those two flowers start to sort of wane, the farmers market crowd starts to slow down, and we still have good steady sales, and every year it gets better and better, but just the overall influence of the brand new spring season starts to decline, and people's own gardens at home start to produce flowers, and they don't have the same kind of urgent need for flowers as they do in the first part of the year. So what we did for 2025 to adjust for that and to make the most of it as best we can is we went a lot harder on tulips and a lot harder on ranunculus this year. I ordered, 5,000 or 6,000 tulips. Last year we had 2,000, so we double, 2.5 or 3, I can't think of the number off the top of my head, but at least 2.5 times as many tulips this year as we had last year. Now, bear in mind, tulips are a lot of labor, and they're not extremely profitable. They are, but they're at wholesale. I'll get my bulbs between 20 and 50 cents a piece, depending on the variety. And we go for the big doubles that are more unusual. They are more expensive, but they definitely draw more attention. They look like peonies half the time. So we went really hard on those. We significantly increased the amount that we're growing. I am supremely concerned at the amount of mold and vole activity in that general area in my garden, but you've seen videos in the past. If you have, we have several strategies that we're trying to hopefully not lose the whole crop, because that would be pretty unfortunate. And then the other one was our ranunculus. Normally I would grow probably 500 ranunculus, and I didn't always get the biggest, most luxurious varieties. This year I did. I spent the extra money. I got 1,500 corms, and I got the biggest ones that I could get in the colors that I wanted. that are mostly pastels. There's a lot of pinks, and there's some pinks and oranges actually. The salmon and the pink go really well together, especially in early spring. People are drawn to those sort of bright colors. But lots and lots of ranunculus for this next season, and so far they're doing really well. The next garden tour that we do, I'll show you my low tunnels that we've put up to protect them over the season. Weirdly, I've said it before, we haven't had a frost yet. It's nearly New Year's and we haven't had a frost, and it's the craziest thing, but it's making my ranunculus really happy. So like I said, we've gone a lot heavier on volume for those two types of flowers, and I will do succession sowing of my ranunculus. I've got 1,000 of them in there right now, and in another month and a half-ish, I will start another round, the rest of them, so that I can put them out in the field to extend that harvest even longer. It worked really well last year, or this year, and I really want that to be a thing again next year. That extending that ranunculus season is very, very good for our sales. So like I said, we've gone really hard on volume. I've changed the color palette a little bit. I went a bit more with some more pastel colors, partly because we're shifting to a bit more wholesale than just the farmer's market this year. And people having weddings, they want the softer colored flowers in the spring. So that's the first of my lessons that I've learned, is that I needed to make the most of my springtime sales. So we went harder in on those flowers, and hopefully it will pay off. We will definitely keep in touch all the way through this. Okay, so the second lesson that we've learned is that gap between those ranunculus and when the first perennials and summer annual or hardy annuals start, there's a pretty wide gap of time that I don't have much flowers. We don't have, it's usually the mid part of spring through to the early to mid part of July, which is a really rough time not to have flowers, especially June weddings and all that. So it's a really, and every farmer around here suffers from that. It's just the way the cycles go. You have your tulips and ranunculus, and then they fall flat, and then you start to get you have this lull, and then you'll start to get your hardy annuals, and then your summer annuals and everything else beyond that. And you have loads of flowers July and August and September. But that little gap in the middle is pretty critical. So if you've watched any of my videos from last year, later in the season, I went a little more intentional with my biennials. I've got one whole row. I've got another couple of trays that I really need to get out there that I just haven't had a chance. We've had some crazy stormy weather for the last several weeks. Just every day it's another storm of some kind. And I just haven't made the effort. And with the holidays, I haven't made the effort to get out there. So either way, my point is I have a lot more biennials in the ground to help span that gap. They absolutely do. As soon as the ranunculus are starting to fade, that's when these biennials will be blooming, which is flowers like the Canterbury Bells and the Sweet Annie and the Sweet Rocket, or not Sweet Annie, Sweet Rocket, Sweet William. It's a few others. Those are the foxglove. These are all biennials that you plant in the fall early enough that they get a good root system, and then they overwinter, and then they will bloom the next season. Their biennial is 2 years biannual. Either way, the point is we did a lot of work to get a lot more of that to try and bridge that gap. I also invested the last couple of years in a lot of roses. Roses here tend to start blooming at that same time when the ranunculus are fading, when the biennials are coming on. And I have a lot of soft pinks and soft apricot colors, some of which will be ready to really start harvesting from next season, which is great. It always takes a few years, so you just have to be patient. I would recommend that to any of you that have any dreams of being a flower farmer or even having a really cool cut flower garden is to buy your shrubs. Invest in the shrubs as early as you can, because they will take years to be able to actually harvest from anything that's useful. So like I said, the roses, we've got several more of them that we have planted over the last couple of seasons, and hopefully they will help to span that gap. And I've also started a bunch of hardy annuals. Instead of waiting until the early spring to plant them, I've got them planted now so that they will bloom earlier in the season. They will have stronger root systems. They will bloom bigger and harder, or stronger stems and earlier than any of the hardy annuals that I'll start early this winter and plant out. So like I said, that's been a really big struggle for me and most of the farmers around here, is getting the timing right on all of those plants and making sure that we don't have just a complete gap in flowers June and early July, because it's really easy to get there. I've done it year over year. So it was really intentional this year, and cross your fingers that it worked. Okay, the number 3 lesson that we learned this year was about dahlias. So I love dahlias. I know pretty much any flower farmer or gardener or flower lover in general is going to love dahlias. They come in such an amazing array of colors and shapes and sizes, and they're just stunning in the late summer through the fall. They're just some of the best flowers. They put out so many blooms on every single plant. They're fantastic. But in my area, because they do so well here, everybody grows them. Everybody grows them, and we are on such a small scale that we have no chance of competing against any of the bigger farms. There's a farm probably 15 minutes away from here, 15-20 minutes, that they have 10 acres of nothing but dahlias, and they do you pick days all summer long, and you can go out there for $10 and take at home a whole bucket of flowers. There's zero chance that I can compete with that, especially in the wholesale market. Most of our local florists, they will go to those U-picks and they will cut their own and save a ton of money, because one stem of cafe au lait from a wholesaler is going to be $5 if it's a premium stem, or you can go pick a bucket of them for $10. So it's not really profitable for me. It's not really worth it for me to try and wholesale grow dahlias. And the farmers market, though they do have their fans, and I have people every week that come down and buy them. And it's one of my CSA options is to get just straight bouquet or dahlia bouquets in that late summer. But a lot of people know their dahlias around here, and they understand that they're not going to have the longest vase life. I can do absolutely everything right. Cut them in the early morning, keep them cooled in the cooler at the right temperature and hydrated and all the things. And most of the time I can get 5 up to 7 days, max 7 days of vase life. And that's really on the rare occasion. It's usually only on the ball type dahlias. So a lot of farmers market customers are not buying dahlias at the market because they know, and the farmers market customer is just different than a wholesale customer. They want the longest lasting blooms as they can possibly get. They want to be able to buy them on Saturday and have them good all the way until they buy another bouquet the next Saturday. And dahlias really aren't good for that. Like I said, over and over again, I will never not grow dahlias. They're gorgeous. I love them. They do wonderful in like mixed buckets for weddings. They're beautiful focal flower. They do pretty well at the farmers market, though they are not the top seller. And I dig and sell tubers every year, which is profitable for me also. So there's good things about dahlias, but I can't grow enough of them for them to be really, truly like a profitable wholesale type flower for me. So I am going to maintain only having my 3 rows of dahlias. I will keep them. I will still grow from seed. I like to hybridize. I think that's just a fun hobby to have. I'll grow some from seed every year and see what I get. I will always have them for my CSA and for my tuber sales and for everything that I've already mentioned. I'm not going to expand my dahlia collection any further than it already is, even though I did toy with that a lot we thought about clearing a whole nother area of the farm and just growing dahlias specifically, but there's several reasons why I don't want to do that. Monoculture and dahlia diseases can spread real fast, and I didn't want to do that. And then all the feedback from the wholesalers is that they're too cheap to get elsewhere, so we're not going to focus on dahlias as much. Like I said, we'll still have 3 rows, which is still 240 dahlias, so it's not a bad number for most people's standards. There's still plenty, and they will still be gorgeous, and I will still have lots for my bouquets as we go, and for buckets of flowers for weddings, which is my favorite type of wedding work. Okay, the 1, 2, 3, 4th lesson that I want to talk about is how important off-season prep work is. Now, it seems kind of obvious, right? When you're not actively growing things, now is the time to do things like clean your tools and get everything ready, get your bouquet wraps ready, get everything prepared so that it's ready to go in the spring. However, I have neglected to do that over the last few years. It's always been in the back of my head. I knew that I should do it, and this season it really came to a head for me. Things as simple, like I said, things as simple as making sure that I have enough buckets, that they're cleaned and ready to go, that I have enough bouquet wraps already folded so I don't have to do it while I'm actively wrapping bouquets. These little things add up pretty quickly. Even if it's just, an extra 20 or 30 seconds to get the paper and fold the paper and cut the paper to be ready for a bouquet as I'm doing that work, those few seconds can turn into 20, 30 extra minutes on my bouquet making days. And my bouquet making days, I have a full-time job. I have this YouTube channel, which is nearly a full-time job, part-time, but I have this YouTube channel, and then I also have a flower farm, which is a full-time job in and of itself. And every single thing that I can do to streamline my efforts and take the time down where it's inconvenient or not necessary is going to make things better. The simple things, I'm going to keep going back to the bouquet wraps because it's pretty remarkable that I can sit down inside in the off season, get a stack of 1,000 sheets of paper, and I can fold 1,000 bouquet wraps within, half an hour. But when I'm actively building bouquets and then I try to fold paper and put it all together, it's going to take me a lot longer per paper than it would if I'm just sitting there doing it assembly line style. And like I said, when I'm doing that on the day, it's cumbersome. It slows me down. It'll make my 5 hours of bouquet making turn into 6 hours, and I just don't have that kind of time. So that's one of the biggest things I'm going to do. We're going to spend some time in the next few days or week organizing the barn so that everything in there is where it should be. Everything's going to have a place and be kept there so it's easy to find. We will have I've already got all my bouquet wraps made. I've got to get my spring bouquet paper, the tissue paper that goes with it, made up. I've got to make sure that I have all of the right amounts of plastic for wrapping the bouquets at the market, enough rubber bands, all these things. Make my sign for my bouquet, for my stand down at the market. All these things that just eat up little bits of time, they add up so quickly. And those things, as soon as, in the springtime, as soon as the weather warms enough that I can start planting, which by mid-March is where I'm at with that. And that's about the same time that we start to see daffodils, and then the tulips come real fast after that. I don't have time to do any of that stuff anymore. So right now, even though it's the off season and it's really easy for me to just sit back and do nothing, it's when I need to do all of those critical things to make sure that we have a successful season. So big, huge lesson. If it applies to you in any way, take that one to heart. It will save a lot of your energy later on in the year. Okay. So the next one, the fifth lesson is along those same lines. Bouquet building. I love building bouquets. It's my absolute favorite part of having a flower farm altogether, is the creative process that I get to go through every week to build all these bouquets based on what I have out in the field. And every one of them is going to be a little bit different, and they're just, that part feeds my soul. It's the absolute best part of doing this job altogether. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't get that part of the job. It's just, like I said, it feeds my soul. So bouquet making, the creative part of it is really, really important for me. Also, again, with having all the prep work done ahead of time, I need to speed up the bouquet making process. I can spend 5-6 minutes. If you've seen any of my videos, you can see how long it can take me to build a bouquet as I'm just walking bucket to bucket and figuring out what I think might look good at any given time. I love that process, but it's slow. If I'm taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do each bouquet, and I have to do 30, 40, 50 bouquets, it's taking me hours and hours that I just don't have. So part of what my goal this year was, with changing some of our color palettes to more streamlined, more pastel, more complementary color palettes, is that I can build some and more volume of fewer varieties of flowers. Like I'm planning to grow an entire row of just peachy pinks in zinnias, as opposed to 10 feet of those and 10 feet of red and 10 feet of green. And I have bigger swaths of the same flowers. That way I'll be able to, the goal anyways, is to be able to build templates of bouquets, basically recipes, and I can just lay them out and grab and go with the same, with a recipe. Basically, I can build one that I love, and then I will have enough volume to be able to repeat that similarly several times over, so that I can just speed that whole process up. I do that already with my tulips and my ranunculus. So I just need to, because they're all coordinated color-wise, I just need to lay them out, collect the right number of each variety, each type of flower, my focal flowers, my spikes, everything like that, if you've seen, I have some videos in the past for how to build a spiral bouquet that walks through that. But it basically, it's a recipe, and I can just grab six ranunculus, 3 stalk, three foliage and whatnot, and build that same bouquet over and over and over again. And I can do it super fast, and they're similar, though not exactly the same. And they're similar enough in color and color palette that the bouquets will each look different, but they are easy and fast to make. So that's my goal. I need to shave it down from 5 to 10 minutes all the way down to 2 or 3 minutes per bouquet, and that will save me a ton of time. So I'm building that into my plan this coming year, and it makes such a huge difference. So yeah, that's another one. You'll see a theme in this video today. Okay, so the 6th lesson that I've learned over this past year, and really this is one that's been building for a few years, is that I need to spend more effort taking care of myself. like I mentioned earlier, I have a full-time job, I have a flower farm, I have this YouTube channel, I have a family. All of those things take my time, and I need to put the effort into taking time for myself and my family and not focusing on everything external all the time. You know, when I have a list a mile long of things that I need to get done, especially in the spring is the most difficult to do it. I tend to discount the self and family part and just focus on all of those things. And I wind up working, 15, 16-hour days, and I get completely burned out in no time. And then nobody's happy. I'm not happy. My husband's not happy. The farm starts to suffer. Everything just kind of goes downhill. Especially this last year. I had so much going on that by the time August rolled around, I was so stressed out that I made myself sick. I missed markets that I really needed to be at so that I could, so that we could sell the flowers. I had so many flowers blow out in the field, which is beautiful for me, but not great as a company, trying to sell the flowers. I was done. By the end of the season, I was completely done. I don't want this to be that. This is such a joyful part of my life that I want to maintain it and nurture it. But I also need to do that with my family. I can't ignore my husband all the time and just be on the field, although he does come with me and it's a lot of fun. We have a good time together doing the farm work, but sometimes I just need to be mindful of that. So I have decided I'm going to put in my calendar that specific times to make sure to force myself to take the time to do yoga in the mornings, to eat well, make recipes. I'll do a lot of meal prep and meal planning, and then take time in the calendar so that I don't push it off, is time to spend time with my family. I've missed a few things that I wish that I hadn't, and I don't want that to be a thing again, as much as I possibly can. So this one's really important to me, and it may sound, obvious to a lot of people, but it's really easy to get into that rut, that just, like I said, I got a list a mile long and I'm stressed out that it's not getting done, but I'm going to have to let some of that go. It's just not, none of it is more important than my own health and well-being and my family. So with that said, my YouTube channel, I fully intend to just get back to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's my goal. Although if you see that I'm missing a week here, a video here and there, just know that that's me needing the time. I missed something. I didn't have time to get to it, whatever it was. But I'll always put a note in the community post so that you guys know what's going on, that there's nothing wrong, whatever the case may be, that I'm not going to have a post this Wednesday for whatever reason. Just know that my consistency, I like I said, my schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and after the holidays do intend to get back to that. But there may be the occasional week that I miss one or two, or if it gets to be too much, I may end up just going to 1 or 2 videos a week, just to make sure that I have time for all of it and not any one place. And if flowers blow in the field, so be it. I'll just take more pictures of them and share those with you guys. I really love doing these YouTube videos. This community here is some of the most remarkably supportive and thoughtful and eager gardeners that I've ever come across. You guys have such great ideas. Please continue to give those to me. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed learning from you guys. You guys give me so much advice, and it's made this last season just a blast. The most fun that I've had so far, really, as being a flower farmer. Lots of things contributed to that, but you guys were a big part of it. So I want to give you a huge thank you to you guys for being part of this. And I can't wait to see how it grows into 2025. So with that said, I do have a request of you guys. I absolutely love getting ideas, video ideas from you guys. You guys have so much insight that I just don't have, and things that you want to learn specifically that if I know how to do it, or if I can do the research and learn and share with you what I've learned, I want to be able to do that. So in the comment section of this video, I'd love it if you guys would start filling me in with some ideas. I'm happy to keep going along and just sharing everything that I'm doing, but it will be a great thing for me and for you guys, I think, if I can do videos on the topics that you guys are requesting specifically. I think it'll be a lot of fun and give me some interesting ideas, things that maybe I'm not thinking about that you guys are, that would be good to know. And especially if it's something that I don't know already, research is a lot of fun for me. So I would love to dig into some topic that you guys want to hear about and see if we can't do some experiments or just learn about it together. Reflecting on the year past, I think, is really important, both for the business side of things, but also the personal side of things, and whether or not what you're doing is giving you joy and happiness. Also, for the business side of things, to make sure that what you're doing is actually profitable, or will be and can be improved somehow, and you're not just blowing your money. So all these things, year over year, I fully expect that this next year is going to present a whole set of new challenges that I haven't even thought of yet. And I may or may not be successful in my lessons and attempts to correct or overcome for this coming year of what I've just laid out. I may not be successful at all of them, but it's really important to go back over it all and make sure that you're taking those lessons and not just repeating them continually and making yourself crazy, so which is easy to do sometimes. I'm really, really looking forward to 2025. I've learned so much over the last 5 years, and this last year especially, like I said, with you guys and your support. 2025 has the potential to be the best year ever, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Allowing myself the grace to make mistakes and share those mistakes with you guys, and to take the time that I need when I need it, so that you guys are getting the best of me in these videos, and the farm and my family, and we're all getting the best of each other and trying to balance life a little bit more. It's the perpetual problem, right? A balanced life is always the goal, and it's always the hardest thing to achieve. So in the near future, we'll have lots of different content coming at you. There'll be plenty of seed starting videos. We just had up a seed for Lysianthus and eucalyptus. We're gonna start some perennials here pretty quick. I want to try again with my winter sowing. There's a bunch of different stuff that we have to do in the very near future. So I will take you guys along with all of that. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. Reflecting on all of that stuff is really helpful for me. If you liked it, hit a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe if you haven't, and Happy New Year. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.